Be strong. What does it mean to be strong? When the heart aches and there is no hope in sight. When holding back tears no longer helps. When the road is rough and it weighs you down. How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.
Shalom, friends, and welcome to another edition of Living Your Dreams with Kay. We believe that everyone's well-being should be prioritized and child's rights protected. We want to live in a society where everyone is healthy. Oh, wow. That would be a heaven on earth society because it is individuals that lead marriage. So if they're healthy, we're going to have healthy marriages or relationships and healthy society. People will not be dying in the hand of relationship. People will not be having hunger for love because people are healthy who will meet this need. Today, we want to go back again and unpack 4 areas of human desires, deep human desires, and then we also look at maybe 3 desires that people crave for and are thirsty for. Again, what are you really thirsty for? What is your deep desire? Let's begin from the deep desire number 1. The deep desire number 1 is emotional desire. And you have deep desire to be heard and be known. People want to be listened to. People want to be heard. People want to communicate and be understood. The second deep desire under emotion is deep desire to be affirmed. People would love to be affirmed for what they do. They want to be told that they did a great job. Here, your desire is the desire to hear that your behavior or your action was a good job. Is a desire, is an emotional desire, legitimate emotional desire. So don't feel bad that you desire that. And then the third emotional desire is the desire to be praised for who you are. This is not for your behavior or for your action. The praise for being you. Be praised for your identity. And you also hear that many people cannot fathom that they did not do anything to earn God's love, because everything that I've ever done, each time they were loved, is because they worked so hard to get that love met. So they do not believe that God's love is free. They believe that it must be based on their behavior or performance. Please, God loves you because you are his child, not because of anything you do or you did not do. And then I'm now going to show you false fulfillment of these deep desires. In the previous episode, you may need to check it. I said when a desire is not met, when what you're hungry and thirsty, what you hunger and thirst for is not available, you use false substitutes. Just like if you are stranded in the desert, anything that is liquid they give you, including your own urine, you will drink them because you want to quench a thirst. Same way when you are looking for water, you are thirsty. If you can drink anything, but it has to be water. If it's not water, you keep desiring for it. So what are the false desires that goes with this? The deep desire to be heard. When you're not feeling heard and understood, you will try to use different varieties, different ways to get someone to meet that need. For instance, you will raise your voice when you're talking. When you're talking with your spouse and you think your spouse is not hearing you, you'll start shouting and screaming. I'm just saying, why are you shouting? Why are you shouting? You're trying to meet a need. The second one, that you'll talk continuously because you want to be heard. The third one is you will throw temper tantrums. You are actually begging to be heard. What is the solution in this place? Please just simply ask your spouse to listen when it has to do with the desire to be heard, to communicate. The second deep desire that has to do with to be affirmed. What is the false substitute? The false substitute that exists is you start looking for what you will do to bring affirmation to yourself. Sometimes you start looking for maybe a role to come into, maybe a particular expensive car or a status or power you're going to grab onto yourself because you think that this will bring affirmation. At last, people will look at it and affirm you. You desire and lust for one particular luxurious car because you feel that it's only people who are worthy of affirmation, who are successful, use that car. Even if you have to kill yourself, run yourself out, be miserable, you do anything to get that desire met, because there is a big need for affirmation. There's a big need to be met, that needs to be met. So let me ask you now, what are you doing to bring affirmation to yourself? There are many people who have not come into their life purpose, who are running from their life purpose because they feel that that area does not have deep affirmation. People are not affirmed. People are not, as it were, praised when they get into that area. Then the third false one is the need to be praised. That's where narcissism comes in. That's where narcissism comes in. You start praising yourself. What's the root cause? Is a deep longing to be praised. You feel that you didn't get enough praise, so you act in a way. You can even act in a false way to show that you talk about your achievement, you talk about your accomplishment. You're trying to get everyone convinced, everyone around you, to see how wonderful you are so that they can praise you. What should you do? What is the solution? Please just give these people affirmation. Let them know that don't be stingy with affirmation. Just let the person know you're too much, you're great, you're powerful. That's the answer to that. And for the one that has to do with the need to be affirmed, the need to be heard, the need to be affirmed, the need to be praised. And for people who are dealing with the need to be affirmed, please consider what they have done. Consider it significant. Consider it very valuable. Let's move forward to the second need. The second need has to do with the need to be safe. All of us need to, you need to have a mindset that says God is in charge. No matter what comes out of it, no matter what may come my way, God is in charge. I have food to eat. I have shelter over my head. The world is, everything is right with the world. My anxiety and it's about how my future will be is turned around by knowing that you are safe. You see, sometimes when a woman is shouting when the husband is driving, she's not actually trying to push her husband down. All she's trying to say is that I'm feeling afraid. She's trying to say, I'm not feeling safe. Sometimes we see when a man is misbehaving in marriage and all the man is trying to say is that I don't feel respected. I don't feel honored in this home. So we must understand that when those needs arise, be very discerning, be very creative to be able to know that someone is crying for attention, not that the person really need to quarrel. So how do you solve this need? How do people go about false substitutes that people go to solve the need of being safe? You know what they do? They start looking for anything that symbolizes safety in their lives, and then they hold on to it. They start looking for for something that is right. Let's take something like obsession for cleanliness and order. You find out that maybe the front of your house is dirty, is not in order, and you want it to be put in order. When your neighbors pass, they will see that this Victoria is a very, very somehow person. This person is too much. It brings that kind of thing brings a sense of accomplishment inside you. Some people have, when it has to do with being cautious, it's almost an idol. So when you see these things happening, it's not because the person is weird. The person is shouting, I want to be safe. I want to be safe. I want to be safe. You need to realize that safety is in God. I remember when COVID-19 broke loose, some people lost their mind because of the fear. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my children? What's going to happen to my business? I've not been to work for about 1 month. How am I going to survive? All that hunger for safety, the solution is for you to realize that safety can only be found in Christ Jesus. So these things I'm pulling out. The reason I'm pulling them out is that it has effect in your marriage. The moment you pick up a false substitute to solve emotional problems, it can degenerate into anything. It can degenerate into addiction. It can degenerate into anxiety and tension in the marriage, so that even when both of you are talking, you can't diffuse tension. Your emotional intelligence will not be activated. You won't remember to be intelligent emotionally. Reason, because there is something that is dragging you. There's something that is pulling you in a bid to meet the need. You won't remember who you are, because there is a hunger for affirmation. There's a hunger to be praised. And there's also a hunger to be heard. If you put these three together, you don't know that this is what you need. It will cause tension. It can even cause divorce in marriage. One has to be careful. So I've talked about your emotional need. I've talked about your physical need. So we're going to, as part of the physical need, the first part of the physical need, the need to be safe. The second part of the physical need, that desire 5, is the need to be touched. All of us have a deep desire, a deep need to be touched skin to skin. Every parents must understand that their children, their babies need this to survive. Otherwise, they will have a disease called failure to survive. When people are touched skin to skin, it releases some kind of chemicals in their brain that has to do with warmth and a sense of being, a sense of well-being. So people need you need to hug your children several times a day to fulfill this hunger to be touched. A research was done about children in a neonatal unit, and they said, we are going to touch them, we're going to remove our gloves and touch them. We won't bother about infection. We let antibiotics handle that. They discovered that those children who were touched skin to skin, who were touched skin to skin, were able to thrive better than the other ones. And what is the false substitute for being touched? That's where you have sexual sin. Because you are longing for a touch. And you didn't get it. So anything and anyhow that you are touched, you accept it. Reason, you are actually looking for a touch. You find that sometimes it results to one night stand. You find out that you have one night stand. People who go into one night stand, they are trying to meet a hunger, the need to be touched. You find out that you have strip joints, massage parlors. All you are looking for is that you're looking for a touch. So it's important that we teach you today. The solution to this is to get people to touch each other in non-sexual ways. Couples need to understand that you can touch each other in non-sexual ways. Sometimes couples are fighting over, they have not been intimate. They've not made love for months, for sometimes years. So we're going to teach them, we need to teach them to start learning to touch each other in non-sexual ways. With that, you are meeting the need to be touched, and you won't use false substitutes like any kind of sexual touch and any kind of massage parlors, stripped joints, and all of that to get to meet the need. As we begin to round off this part, I'm going to come back. I'm not rounding up, but I'm going to come back. But as we begin to zero it around here, remember that for every deep hunger in your heart, there is also a deep satisfaction and fulfillment. Don't use false substitutes. They destroy society. They make life miserable. So I'm going to see you after this time out.
Our nation and the nations of the earth are crying out for global transformation, a land filled with the knowledge of the glory of God as the water covers the sea. The land is crying out for great destinies to be released and the strong man over our land dislodged. One of the tools we have been instructed to use for this global transformation is a worship and warfare prophetic intercession called the avalanche. The avalanche is a non-stop praise and worship where we lift up songs to God for some number of hours non-stop, and we believe that this will continue until the coming of the Messiah. There's also the intercession and seeding the earth with Bible readings and other prophetic acts and actions. This praise and worship intercession marathons begins in 3 cities, in Abuja, Lagos, and Benin, and we have done this for a number of years, for the past 8 years. The first edition was in 2016. Since then, we have received instruction on how to use this tool for the good of our land and the nations of the earth. This year, in Benin City, in Abuja and Lagos, we are pushing for 48 hours, 12 hours respectively in Lagos and Abuja. We are believing for spiritual revival, economic wells in our nation to be created, favor with cities, government leaders and kings, manufacturing firms that produce goods for the nation and provides new jobs for our people, technology to establish new markets, energy sources and efficient solutions to grow as a population, laws and courts that measure with the justice and the freedom of our land's constitution, civil servants that encourage entrepreneurs, education, media and entertainment that develop mind molders who influence the influential, strong families that house the values and the cultures of the kingdom. A new nation and nations are possible, and the dream of our nation is possible to comfort. All this can happen on the heels of cultural transformation. We are set and ready to host His presence over our cities and our nation. Release the supernatural to cause the hearts of men to receive revival, reformation, and transformation of our nation. Join us on the 26th to the 28th of January 2024. And I want you to know that this praise and worship intercession will be happening in 3 major cities, in Lagos, in Abuja, and in Benin City, respectively. God bless you. Hope to see you in the avalanche. Shalom.
Hello and welcome back. So we have been talking about the deep desires of the human heart and how people go about fulfilling these desires. We've looked at the emotional part, we looked at the physical part. We're going into the remaining 2 that has to do with the sexual and the spiritual part. Please, friends, it is important that you understand that healthy relationship, healthy marriage is not an option. We're not asking ourselves if we will or we will not. It is that the way society is so problematic. We are getting ready for elections in Edo State. And if some of these people that are electing have deep needs that have not been met, if someone, for instance, has an emotional need for praise and affirmation, and the person feels that for you to praise the person has to, have some kind of luxurious something, the person will not mind using the state allocation or even the taxes that be derived from the state to meet that need. It is meeting a very legitimate need in an illegitimate way that has left society the way it is. I was checking out something in the Bible, and I realized that in the life of Solomon, he met a need. There was a deep need inside him. That need was met in an illegitimate way. Look at David. There was a deep need inside David. It was met in an illegitimate way. The same thing with Samson. There was a deep need inside him that was met in an illegitimate way. May you not meet a legitimate need in an illegitimate way. So let's look at the sexual desire is a legitimate need in life. Is the deep desire to be passionately, the desire to be passionately desired. You long to be the only one in your spouse's life. That is legitimate. God put it in your heart that whoever you become one flesh with, you want to be the only one in that person's life. You want to be the one that they passionately long for. You want to be the one they desire physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every way. It's God that put it there. You want to be the one that will put the smile on their faces. However, when this need is not properly met, it will be misused. It will be met in a dangerous form. That's what brings sexual affairs. That's what gets people to go into extramarital relationships. Then you find out that some people are into romance novels, soap operas, and other entertainment. They are hooked to it because they are trying to, fantasize and create an answer to the problem that they are going through. And what is our help? What's our solution for these people? Please, we're going to help couples to focus their attention on each other. Let me take this opportunity and speak to couples. You see, there are no two relationships that are the same. No two marriages answer to the same thing the same way. You cannot run your home the way Adesua or Etiosa is running his home. You will not be able to do that. It will spoil so many things. Sometimes when there is argument, when there is confusion, when there is conflict, sometimes people use active listening to diffuse that kind of thing. For some others, it does not work. There is a lot of negativity being blown, and the people tear themselves apart. My little counsel in this is getting couples to focus on each other. Listen to me, my friends. To the making of women, there's no end. To the making of men, there's no end. Before, they used to say it's only men that have affairs. But these days, many women are involved in the marketplace and working in the corporate organization, working in the marketplace. So there is also been a skyrocketing of sexual infidelity amongst women. What is the solution? We must learn to focus on one and each other. Let's knock off the negativity. Let's reduce the negativity, the negative things you say, the criticism. Then you wall yourself away from the person, and the person is all alone. You're no longer a part of the person's life. We can walk through these things if all of us give ourselves to it. Let's go to the last one. The last one is spiritual desire. The desire to be included, the desire to belong, the desire to know that you have fellowship with God. You also have fellowship with other people. Not just in one flesh union with your spouse. You also belong to others. In every place we have been longing for, sometimes you come up to a place you have been longing for someone to walk up to you and have fellowship. Is a legitimate human desire. And how do people meet this desire? In a very wrong way. One, criticizing other people. It's very easy to see what the other person is not doing well. It's very easy to criticize. It's very easy to point out fingers. I've realized that even in football, it is those of us who are at the bench watching the football that know how a player should be played. Oh, you didn't play well. We can sit in the comfort of our rooms or sit at the bench and begin to throw stones on this person that the person did not do it well. Listen, when you criticize people, you are indirectly saying you don't belong here. That's also what gets to selfishness. It's also what brings, if someone did not get it, comes into selfishness. And see, I'm going to say something very important. Sex is not inclusion. That someone slept with you does not mean that both of you belong together. Some people think that they will be able to trap other people with sex. Sex is not inclusion. Sex does not equal inclusion. There is something we call sexual selfishness. You are trying to get into the person's life because you feel that if he sleeps with you, the person will end up marrying you. Or you find out that this person has money, has a particular kind of passport, and then you introduce sex because you think it means inclusion. It does not mean inclusion in any way, in any form. We need to know that there is a need you're trying to meet here, and that need has to just do with the aspect that has to do with spiritual needs. Having said all of this, let me begin to bring a conclusion to the things that we have been talking about. When God created you, He gave you very strong desires. And the very first way He wants this desire to be met is through Him. And if He is not in the center of the relationship, it will look like things that fell apart, that center cannot hold. It will look at where mere anarchy has hit upon the ground. It's good for us to end well in everything we start. It's not just how we start, but it is how we finish. That we do not use misused means to try to end stories. Mr. Solomon, or King Solomon, who was the son of David, if you track his record, because of these things I'm talking about, that man did not end well. There was a time he was all full of love for God. He was ready to sacrifice 1,000. He sacrificed 1,000 animals to God, and he was asking God, "Oh, I want wisdom. I don't want anything. I want wisdom." And then that wisdom was delivered, and you saw that Solomon found wealth, but there was a need, an unmet need.
Strong. What does it mean to be strong when the heart aches and there is no hope in sight? When holding back tears no longer helps? When the road is rough and it weighs you down? How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community, because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect, and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.